The booster course pass for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was quite the success, and once again, we're looking at all changes and differences made for the returning courses in Wave 6 of the DLC. The final race of the Acorn Cup is Piranha Plant Cove. It's a journey through a lagoon with the sunken ruins of an ancient temple dedicated to piranha plants, including one resembling Petey Piranha, filled with broken stone remains, an island cape with a lighthouse in the distance, shipwrecks at the bottom of the sea, and denizens of the deep that love fast food. So how does the most recent update differ from its mobile appearance? Let's find out. Likely inspired by Atlantis and the Temple of Quetzalcoatl in Teotihuacan, Piranha Plant Cove debuted as part of the Exploration Tour in 2023, delivering the first and second variants, with the third variant released in the 2023 Me Tour. For the Switch version, these paths are covered over the span of 3 laps, much like with City Tracks. As expected, numerous differences set these two versions apart. So let us begin with the gameplay changes. Lap 1 follows the route of Piranha Plant Cove 2, but it starts at the gate of the first variant. The swimming path of the Unagi was modified to accommodate the different laps. Similar to the first variant, water geysers were placed just before the steps. Past the stairway, the bend underwater noticeably was stretched outward. This bend can be cut much deeper now because of the underwater physics. A Cheep Cheep went missing here, and those that stayed had their paths altered. Some other sea life and remains to the right were changed up, better allowing for cutting through the sand. As the path splits and merges again on the island, we see fencing on the left that is longer than before. The large piranha plant ahead seems to have moved a bit further down, and the glide ramp was enlarged, incorporating a metal part. Jelly beams in the water beyond relocated, with 2 more joining their ranks. The sand patch below was replaced by a slope covered by wooden planks as setup for the final lap. There's potential for another significant slow-sinking corner cut to the right. Branching coral and rubble below this spot were affected too. And clampies were taken off the avenue back to the finish line, as well as the water geysers at the end of it. Lap 2 switches to the first variant route. Not much differs along this path in terms of elements that affect drivers compared to Tour, except that conditions are pretty much like they were the first lap for the mutual path. But further ahead, yet another extreme corner cut can be accomplished, thanks to buoyancy. And both thwomps and dash panels were shifted a bit, now being similar to Tour's beta, or beta, screenshot. The final lap traces the route of Piranha Plant Cove 3, taking a turn to the left this time. It's quite possible to encounter other racers trailing behind here. Fish bones seem to appear later, and a clampy was placed along the path that leads to the sunken ships. Another clampy was put left of the shipwreck shortcut. Meanwhile, water geysers are in adjusted positions, with one of them removed. Returning to a sandy floor, other clampies went missing. It's like a giant shell game. Anyway, a fallen pillar now can be found at the start of this part, and stone blocks serving as mini-ramps vanished in the underwater tunnel, including the long one at the end. By the way, raised edges in much of the ruins above the surface can be traversed now. Could this be done before? There are even more aesthetic changes to discover. Much like city courses, the minimap was rotated 90 degrees clockwise, with a shipwreck shortcut represented and pier used in 2R removed. And there are the general lighting, texture, and mild coloration differences, of course. Being brighter underwater overall, the moonbeams that penetrate into the sea appear to be in different spots. Above, the ocean surface effects are significantly more radiant, and the moon itself has a glowing ring around it now. Cloud formations differ, as do the spectators. Even piantas appear on the island this time. And beneath the waves are snorkeling toads amongst some new angelfish and other little fish. At the starting line, the banner text went from glowing lavender to a flat cream. The bulbers on the sign reoriented to face each other, and they bob differently too. Meanwhile, the starting line itself retains the same number of checks, but those at the ends no longer are buried in the sand. The pillars ahead collapsed during the opening, assuring the conditions of the second variant, or at least the second lap of the first variant, at which point they fell instead. And step masonry and the following temple flooring tiles switched from uniform to irregular. A red arrow buoy was removed at the first bend, and posts at the fork in the path were more submerged than before, and more vegetation was added on the island by the roadside. The short-stemmed piranha plant on the right turned 90 degrees to reveal its teeth, and another is oriented differently by the glide ramp. We can see that the banner on the cliff here was moved to the right and transformed into a wooden swinging bench for observers to sit. As part of this process, the second starting line was removed entirely. Viewed from the air, more rocks fill the dirt spots around the landing point. and the torches cast distinct rings of light on the floor. Uniform tiles underwater became irregular like others, and all 8-bit Piranha Plant glyphs on them were omitted. The corner cut became mossy, with another like this altered the same way, and the pipe from which the unagi emerged was uninstalled. Along the second lap, another red arrow buoy and a chevron barrier below was removed at the sunken corner, replaced by a regular red arrow sign under the waves. Another chevron barrier was cleared out at the following bend. In the distance, 2 piranha plants and grass on the island bluff ledges below the lighthouse were plucked, and off-road sand on the ocean floor at the diving point and beyond is now darker than the path. Underwater thwomps around the corner produce bubbles when slamming into the ground. At the far end, arrow barriers and a sea anemone were replaced by a big red arrow sign, and jelly beams appeared in this spot too. Proceeding into the final lap, there's a different arrangement of crystals in the small cave, and sand rolls up the shipwreck shortcut deck this time, while the ramp here became a wooden type with 5 arrows instead of 6. The deck on the opposite side was modified in color to match that before the ramp. Cracks on the ground past this point are almost invisible now. At the corner crossed during the first lap, the red arrow sign was flipped to face the other direction. Headlights turn on in the darker area under the ruins. Shadows cast from the light reveal new depth for the seabed dunes, and even the bulbers help to illuminate part of this area. Neat! There are some auditory changes as well. Various sounds of the water can be heard now, especially in the opening, and sea creatures make more noises than before. Perhaps they all could gather together for an orchestra. A symphony of sea life would be poetic, considering the music for Piranha Plant Cove. The theme is a fusion of calypso with classic rock and a hint of soca, soul of calypso, as evidenced by the synth bass, all in 6/8 time or 6 beats per measure. Its instrumentation consists of wooden flute, steel drums and other mallets, dulcimer, acoustic guitar, synth bass, traditional percussion, and Latin percussion like the castanets and guiro. The original has a clear bass, while the guitar strumming is sustained and warm, but muddied throughout. There's a nearly consistent open hi-hat every 3rd and 6th beat in the A section only in this version. How exotic! The switch arrangement generally adheres to the source material, but with different mixing. This especially applies to the quieter bass and more pronounced high flute. Guitar strumming is much more realistic now, with a lot of rhythm and slightly modified chords. The guiro in the B section is clearer than before, and tom-toms definitely seem to have greater presence, being particularly noticeable at the end of the bridge before the loop. Though largely the same, it sounds great overall, befitting the tropical atmosphere. And that's about it for all changes we found in Piranha Plant Cove. The city combination approach is practically the best way to experience the variants from the mobile version for a full, diverse adventure through all of which the track has to offer. But what do you think? Have you found any notable changes that we missed? Let us know in the comments below. And of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for more coverage of the Booster Course Pass for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and other things Nintendo too. Thanks for watching. Until next time, ciao!